Hi!
Hello.
Welcome to Breach of Protocol podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Sam.
I'm Nina.
I'm Tom.
Wait, who's Nina?
Oh, new person.
I just wandered in. I just like, oh snap, there's an open door. I'm in love with that dog, by the way.
Which one?
The one with the flashlight nose.
Flashlight nose.
Oh.
Or the one with the human hands.
Well, as it should be.
How else are they going to catch the hacker? It was a whole story, by the way. Yeah.
You're supposed to find him.
Thank you all for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
You are our very first guest, our very first live guest. Yay.
Yes. You have to say something. You have to do an icebreaker now to introduce yourself.
Who is your daddy?
We believe in putting people on the spot. Don't we, Sam?
Three truths and a lie is my favorite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Those are fun. So thank you again, everyone. So my name is Nina Jagannathan, and I'm the founder of Wits End Studios. So my background is number of decades in IT, and I have a master's in electrical engineering, and I've spent a considerable amount of my career in information security, cybersecurity, and risk, and I'm currently obsessed with AI and quantum. And my business is working with security and deep tech firms to humanize their language and translate their genius into something that everyone realizes they need.
That's awesome. I couldn't detect the lie in there.
Oh, yeah. Which one was the lie?
Yeah. Three truths and a lie. I know.
Yeah.
It was a number of decades.
Yeah, that was it. That was exactly it. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, what are we talking about this week? There's a lot of stuff in the news. Cybersecurity.
I think it should appear at the bottom of the screen.
Anthropic did it again. I don't know if you saw that.
The Anthropic engineers.
Oh, wow. Well, that's another.
Oh, that's right.
That's a new one.
The crypto one.
Yeah.
The crypto was.
So they were able to with their they were able to break encryption. They were able to, for one of them, Hawk, I believe, and they were, so basically all the timelines and everything there, that's like, we don't have to worry about that for like 10 years, 5 years. Now they're showing that it's actually maybe sooner rather than later. And the thing is, a lot of viewpoints are showing, good, then we can find a company can discover their vulnerabilities. The problem is they're missing, so can the adversaries.
Yep, that's Anthropic showing us that in a lot of ways. They're talking about trusting your platform.
Trusting.
Was it Anthropic that hacked Hugging Face? Do I have that right?
No. OpenAI hacked Hugging Face. And Anthropic just hacked three companies.
Yeah, they did. It just came out yesterday, I think. Released that they had hacked 3.
Newsflash.
Well, they said it was different though, because they said that instead of it going outside of instructions, it followed instructions, and their box wasn't as tight as they thought it was. They didn't.
Well, so the latest I saw was that there was a misunderstanding, and that the contractor that did it or something like that didn't put it in a sandbox or.
Okay. Right? So it was the contractor's fault.
Yeah.
That goes clear back to that Target hack.
The best security, just shift liability.
Right. Exactly.
Shift liability.
Yeah.
With the OpenAI and Hugging Face, that was pretty interesting, because initially it all started when OpenAI went to they were supposedly sandboxed, so they couldn't get out onto the internet, but they had access to a proxy that allowed them to pull down, libraries and things like that. And the proxy box had a 0 day, which means that it was not a known vulnerability. Anthropic discovered it. Sorry, I was reading at the same time as talking. OpenAI's AI discovered it and used it to break out and establish a couple of footholds outside, and then ran how many thousands, tens of thousands, 17 something?
Over 17,000 actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 6,000 plus of those were like lateral movement. Somebody who was watching the network would have known that something was happening. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
The thing is, what are they going to do about it now? What are they going to do to make sure? I mean, that's the thing with a lot of it's like, it seems like many organizations, when things like this happen, even for AI, there'll be some breach of some sort. They'll have a war room, and then they'll go and have all these discussions. But are they really? The thing is, like, ultimately, and I'm going to sound like a broken record during most of this, is a lot of this stuff, since we are talking about trust and everything, is the fact that a lot of organizations view this as kind of like that Ron Popeil set it and forget it. They'll just like, we set it all up and it should be fine. It should keep humming, and it doesn't. You need to keep revalidate, asking for evidence over and over and over again in a periodic manner.
Well, OpenAI is using it in their marketing. Look how smart our model is.
So let's hit the trust thing, right? So we're trusting these AI companies, OpenAI, Anthropic. We've trusted them to download the entire internet and steal every copyrighted work. We're not holding them accountable for that. And now we're allowing them to go out and perform offensive operations against whoever they want across the world, because it was an accident.
See nothing wrong with that at all. Great.
Yeah, this is normal.
Yes,
this is fine, right?
It's like a kid. That's not
this is fine.
This is fine.
And with kids, like the parents are responsible for the kids' actions until a certain point, right?
No, it's not like a kid, because you're anthropomorphizing the tools. If I have a computer or a car or a bulldozer or a firearm or a nuclear warhead, I don't say, oh, it went and did something.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's actually something that's hindering a proper dialogue about this, is because we anthropomorphize it. We talk about the AI's intent, and the AI doesn't have intent. It just does what you tell it, tries to do it. And
no more than a cruise missile.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know a lot of people that in chat or not, maybe in chat, they actually name their AI. So, I was going to say Steve, sorry. It's like, a friend of mine has named his, a friend of mine named his Steve. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And they have, and so by nature, it becomes anthropomorphized. And that's the thing. Go ahead.
Sorry. People name their cars too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the heyday of the muscle cars and everything, they name their cars. But then if you run someone over, you don't go to court and say, well, I'm sorry, but Sally did it. It wasn't me.
I like that defense. It wasn't me. My computer just did it on its own.
Yeah. What were we saying? You saying something?
Who? What?
Well, I mean, no, it's more along the lines of, in addition to that, a lot of programs, when they talk about AI governance, putting the responsibility, that is like remember the Spider-Man meme where they both are pointing at each other? That's like, well, it's the developer's responsibility. No, it's the business person who owns it. It's it's the infrastructure, the DevOps guy. It's like all this. That is something that a lot of organizations also have a problem with. Who ultimately needs to be the human in the middle, or who needs to be the buck stops here? And that seems to be something that people have problems with as well.
That's a problem with just basic knowing your computer network.
But who's responsible?
Yeah.
Here's a crazy. What if the shareholders were held accountable?
Or the board, at least.
board?
The shareholders, the actual shareholders, the people that threw the money into the company that funded it. And because there's always been that tension of ethics, like do the shareholders have a right to say something about the ethics of a company? And there are all these fights over that. So what if the shareholders were actually held accountable for any cybersecurity incidents that resulted in harm?
I love that idea.
Yeah, it would change the game a lot. They would want a lot more accountability. They would want exactly.
No idea why it's focused here.
Seems fitting though. Now I want one. Where I need a link. Where did you get that?
This was from Happy Meal, a Wendy's not a Happy Meal, a Wendy's kids meal. Wendy's kids meal. I don't know if they still have. I think it was a Halloween.
My awesome daughter-in-law who crocheted this.
Ooh.
Oh, that's cool.
And I don't even know.
Can it levitate?
Yes. Can't you see it? Oh, wait.
You have to paint your hand green.
Can't you see it?
Look, Sam is levitating.
I have a green
friend too. Random camera shifts.
Did we all bring green friends with us?
No.
Wow, what are the odds of that? Oh,
I brought butters.
We don't need friends. We have caffeine.
Yes.
hooray.
And other personalities.
So I am the story about Anthropic and it breaking some crypto, especially some supposedly quantum safe crypto. I'm interested in both Nina's and Tom's take on that.
I would love to talk about some quantum stuff. It's not what we do per se, but so the quantum safe crypto. I don't know. You may have seen. I've lost touch with it recently, but has there ever been a proof that any particular encryption algorithm is quantum safe? The last I saw that was kind of a gray area as to whether it was even theoretically possible to have some. And then I saw a bunch of stuff that said, well, maybe we can do everything quantum in polynomial time. So
I've heard the same thing, and it's like that, and it seems like a lot of people are like, there's a lot of stuff for NIST. They have a lot of
these words we have to read.
No, previous topic. Let's go. I want to hear about quantum.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, so like I know NIST has a lot of they have some way in terms of various quantum proof cryptography. But I'm hearing, I think it's still, there's no definitive yet from what I'm understanding. But having said that, the argument that's being made and convincingly so is until then, it's going to take companies, a while to get their CBOM, their cryptographic book of materials up and in place anyway. And no, because they have other stuff, and especially if it's like in manufacturing or OT or legacy, like if you're in utilities, they have these things from the 60s that still work, and they don't have, nobody's been able to do a good job replacing it. So there's stuff in there that's these black boxes and all this other stuff so that alone is going to take a few years for most companies that is saying the ones that actually know about it. The fact that so many people, I would say I don't even think it's an exaggeration. I would say a good 90% of companies have no idea about this. Or they think it's something that is 10 years out, 20 years out. We don't have time for that. It's fine. All this other stuff. And then I don't know if you guys I'm sure you're familiar with that harvest now, decrypt later.
Mm-hmm.
And all that stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, all that stuff is how I've been trying to urge organizations to get their house in order. So when these actual cryptographic standards are put in place, and there is KIPS, and there's a few others that claim to be, but I still, I'm not 100%. It isn't there yet, but it will be.
I'm looking for the proofs. I'm looking for the mathematical proofs on either side.
Yes.
I think there's another compounding factor here in that, and this is across all technology. Technology is getting cheaper and more available to the average person. So we see things like the Anthropic and the crypto thing there, and even if you take AI or LLMs and put it aside, it's getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to do compute things because AWS really tipped the scales when they gave compute power to everyone. They give it away free to start with. It's very low cost. And so even if we don't have special algorithms or whatever, it's just getting to the point where you can hop on the internet, you can leverage other people's data centers to do whatever calculations you want. If that's cracking crypto, if that's breaking into other companies, whatever. And it's cheap. It's an economics problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's also to that point too, yeah, and that's what was so enticing about the Anthropic is the fact that the problem that the C-bomb and building all that up is sooner rather than later. People need to get their houses in order before it's still exactly because if adversaries are able to use the same tools to figure out every vulnerability your company has, it'd be able to breach and grab everything, and people are sitting ducks. And that, at least, I was like, yeah, that alone, like you guys have mentioned, all the other things that Anthropic's been doing and all the others, there isn't enough socialization of it. People still are in their own bubble, and they're, rightfully so, they're busy working on actually getting their business up and running, or they have other things that are higher priority. But I don't know, it should be a little bit more hair on fire, in my opinion, than it is. And that's what got me in this rabbit hole in the first place, is I found out about it, and I'm sure scientists love me because I'm acting like, hi, I just saw this, so now it exists. It's been going around, and they've been, knowing about this forever. And they're like, yeah, right now, only now, right, really? And so, but that's exactly it. It's like when I found out that the potential to break encryption was there, just all the financial implications and stock market, all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's absolutely crazy, and that's why I started bugging a lot of people globally on teach me what you know, and becoming little friends with everyone, just because I want to. They are already way above and beyond what normal humans can do. So just to be able to understand where they see things going. Also, the cool thing, even, I know it's a little bit off topic, but the fact that quantum can potentially, the computing power can help with pharmaceuticals and help with a lot of manufacturing and logistics and everything. There's a lot of great applications. And what if so I don't know. It's the whole thing is just fascinating to me.
With all of the cryptographic encrypting of things, and the key size, the shorter the key is, the easier it is to break, the longer it is, the harder it is to break. And supposedly, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, supposedly quantum is going to make it easier to decrypt the long key size stuff. But isn't it always a trade-off versus how secure you are and the cost to be secure versus the threat of what it is you're securing? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's a couple things in there. So one is search space, and when you talk about key size and quantum, you're talking about what is the computational effort required to discover a secret, like to reverse a function or to factor numbers, for example. And we can have, with a large key size, you have to go through and search many, many different possibilities before you find the right key. So many that it's not tractable. And then with quantum, what the hope or the promise is that you've got a quantum algorithm that will be able to attack that search space in a way that is faster than search this one, search that one. In essence, it kind of searches everything at the same time. And so it goes a lot faster. It's like running things in parallel, but it's not quite parallelism. It's leveraging quantum things. I'll just leave it at that. The that's one part, but the other part of this, so that's just the, if you're talking about state actors, or like U.S. banking is encrypted and China's trying to crack it because they want to crash our economy, or Russia is, or that's that sort of stuff. Then there's things like key management. And that's the kind of the stuff that Nina was talking about, that you've just the simple nuts and bolts things of, do you even know what protocols your stuff is using? Do you know what equipment it's running on? Do you know what the failover mode is, or the failover conditions, the edge cases? If you need to change your key material, or you need to change your algorithms that are being used, you have to do it on both ends. How do you share keys across the link? If you use public key and cryptography, like public-private keys, it's a lot easier. That was a great thing, but it's still, there are still vulnerabilities there for different cases. So there's, on the one side, the theoretical stuff, and then the other side, there's the practical nuts and bolts, like, did I accidentally leave the password on the refrigerator or something, ramble.
The analogy I like how you described it, Tom. The analogy I use for quantum versus classical computing is like trying to pick a combination lock. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing it through classical computing, it's like 000, 001, 00, and it'll just burn through this. Versus like in quantum, it's probabilities between 0 and 1 instead of a straight bit stream. And so, like you said, it isn't exactly all in tangent, but it does it a lot faster because it's looking at different probabilities of all the different combinations between 0 and 1, the qubit versus true bitwise calculations. And and so what you were saying about the key encryption, there's another, like the harvest now, decrypt later. There's also a trust now, forge later, where people grab certificates. The same thing, to be able to impersonate. So that's another threat vector that quantum will, the rise of quantum will bring forth. And then wow, that sounded very dramatic. And so like that's another threat that companies need to be aware of, that if you let certificates expire, if you are leaving that wide open and vulnerable, that is also something that can be leveraged in a later date when they're able to get when they will break that level of encryption.
Yeah, speaking of I forget how you said it, but basically the trust who someone is now, and then later it's going to be forged. There is a whole class of cyber attacks that I think it's the most used, that causes the most recorded damage, and that is the click fix stuff, where you're trusting, you the victim are trusting that something is going to do something for you that you want, but it actually does something else, and the instructions that you're following are from a bad actor. So you're copying and pasting code that you think is going to unlock a certain video game for you, or you think it's going to download something for you, or you think it's going to, basically help you in some way. And then when you run it, it installs code so that your computer is compromised and controlled. And that's the kind of thing that is happening all the time, and it's never going to stop. You can't block people communicating. And phishing's the same thing. You can't block people communicating. It's all the same thing.
Yeah. Google's a good example of, they're in hot water right now from publishers because nobody's going to the sites because the Google just gives them the answer up front. But what you were talking about with people saying, oh, just do these steps to fix your problem, that sort of information can now make it into Google's, oh, just try this. Like, it's okay to eat small rocks, that sort of thing. So it can pop up these answers because there was search engine optimization. Now there's like AI optimization, and people can get these exploits revealed because all you need is text into I won't say the search results. It's in the like immediate answer part on the search engines.
Yep.
Makes it worse.
It really
People
makes
trust
me
it.
feel like this whole quantum breaking encryption stuff is just another like step in a bigger like attack chain, right? And so that makes me think it's like, this way of thinking about cybersecurity is like, well, we have a list of known vulnerabilities, so then we have to try to like patch them, right? And we try to safeguard them as like, you know, it's the whole like compliance checklist makes you feel safe idea, but it's not the that's not like the end game. This is just like one component now.
Yeah, it's part of the stream. And in fact, I think, did you guys see how Google with Chrome is going to start rolling out updates twice a week of patches because there's so many vulnerabilities discovered by AI? Well, there's no way that people
But they introduce new bugs also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no way that all that code's getting reviewed for new bugs.
Fix one, break two, Charlie.
Exactly. And if we look at the OpenAI Hugging Face incident, you can see that the attackers do chain a ton of stuff together to get to where they want to get. And they can also continually fail. They only have to achieve what they're trying to do once, and they can fail literally tens of thousands of times. And if the system is set up to let them do that, which most systems are, then they will achieve what they're trying to achieve. I'm speaking of that. Go ahead.
It's not magic, too. What the AIs are doing, it's just work, right? Yeah. It's just work that a person would do, or a team of people would do, or an entire organization would do. It's just now you've got somebody's multi-billion-dollar data center doing it for you.
Yeah. That's something we've talked about before, is that the AI is not really doing anything new. It's taking a bunch of stuff that already exists and maybe putting it together in different ways, but nothing extremely novel comes out of it, right?
Yeah, because AI, LLMs specifically, are just autocomplete.
And so I hear a lot of people that are worried about AI's cyber attack. And then it's like, well, do we need some AIs to cyber defend? And then it becomes some kind of like never ending, I'm better, no, I'm better. And it's like, you'll never win that game. And so when you were talking about quantum, it's going to break all these encryptions and stuff. And I'm like, well, is there going to be like a defensive quantum that's going to like make it harder? And then like they're battling against each other, like, no, I have the best quantum. No, I do. And then you're back to this like no one wins game.
There actually is a good quantum. You could do quantum encryption over a distance, quantum communication, right? So the data actually doesn't travel through the space in between. And then, how can they break it if they can never see it?
Whoa.
So if you don't, how can they break it if they never see it? Which gets back to really everything. The OpenAI would not have been able to hack into Hugging Face if they couldn't see it.
And you have this really good quantum, and then you trick an employee to click a link in the email, and it's like,
you guys referenced this maybe a couple of episodes back. I mean, like an insider threat. It's almost, it all still goes back to that. So it's like any infrastructure is as strong as so and so not clicking on the I won a lottery ticket. Oh, cool! I got something from Uber Eats. And it's phishing and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it's the training and awareness is also key, and a lot of companies don't spend money on that too. And it's like I always find it very amusing that in the organizations I work at, when you get to a certain point, that everyone's as bitter as I am. They don't. they don't. They're cynical. They don't click on anything, and it's like and anything even legitimate, like no, I'm not gonna. So I've went ahead and pretended like anytime I was given work by my manager, I'm like, that's a fish, and I'll like pretend like I don't know what that is, and so, but that's exactly exactly, and so there's all these facets of it. It isn't just the one thing, and organizations need to look at it more of a holistic viewpoint, and they kind of don't in a lot of cases.
And it starts with knowing what's going on in your network.
Yeah. But you brought up a good point before, in that people are running their business, and it's really hard. And you use the IT stuff, and IT's always had a hard time getting budget and stuff to justify its existence. But the IT stuff that we got is the lowest cost, and because it's the lowest cost, it's what Sam said. It's, you don't know what's going on. It's random. I think Cisco just had another high severity exploit in their firewall. I think one of their firewall products.
It's a new week, right? So
yeah. So I mean, for anyone out there that's running a business, maybe they own a small business, or maybe they're working for a bigger business, and they've got these information technology tools, these computers, even monitors, for example. You can't trust these things at all, and that goes back to the original thing when we, the opening line on the podcast or live cast or whatever this is.
Yeah, trust.
That trust. You don't trust these machines that you're using, because you just can't. There are way too many people on the planet, and now way too many automated processes that are trying to get into these machines, and these machines were never, ever designed to be secure. No matter what the companies tell you, no matter what Microsoft, Cisco, whoever says, none of this stuff was designed to be secure. It was meant to have a high profit margin for the people that made it. That's it. It was an optimization problem, and your security was not part of that equation.
Right.
Well, speaking of things that aren't secure, you guys, I'm sure, all saw the stories about all the water plants getting hacked.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Now, what I found interesting is it's continuing to happen, and it's not just in Minnesota. It's all over the U.S. And some people think that it's Iran. That is not proven, but the initial. I won't say initial because it's been going on forever, but the big news story from a couple of days ago, where there was 30 plus water plants hacked in Minnesota, water systems, because it also included waste systems. It wasn't just water. Happened at the same time as the big T-Mobile outage. And what's even more interesting is all of the people at those water plants say their systems that were hacked were the ones with cellular modems. Cellular modems was the way to get into it. And yeah, I find that interesting. I also wonder, it's pretty noisy to see these kind of things. They're very obvious and loud. Is it trying to take attention away from something else that's happening that's quieter?
Could be. It's possible.
I was wondering, it's like, here's the distraction. Here's
exactly.
Yeah, totally legit strategy. And something else people need. So we're at war, right? The United States is at war with Iran right now.
And our allies are at war with Russia.
And there's people that, absolutely. Russia's at war. People want to kill people. And when you see lots of water treatment plants starting, I mean, it was kind of a proof of concept when China was caught in, onesie twosies, and now it's much more widespread. They say, well, maybe it's Iran. People, they want to kill people, and it's a matter of time. Look at the ransomware gangs. These are organizations, usually organized crime, that have no morals at all, and it's a matter of time before a hospital gets an email that says, you either deposit $1 million in this Bitcoin address, or we terminate everyone in ICU in 15 minutes. So then the I'm not going to pay thing takes on a whole different, flavor. It's like, well, wait a second. And it's, anyways, there's my doom and gloom for the day.
How would you safeguard against that? If you were the one in charge of that hospital's networking, what would you do?
Get off the internet. That's step one. So why does everything have to be plugged into a single global network that has everybody on the planet has access to it?
Convenience.
Well, okay. Yeah.
I just met Nina, and there is a unbroken chain from my computer all the way through the world to your computer.
Yep.
Well, you believe that because of the video and audio, but I don't think I'm real. I'm an AI. I mean,
yeah. You can't attack anything you can't see.
Yeah.
Going back to, have you guys seen The Pit?
Yeah, that's one of my.
Remember, there was an episode that a neighboring hospital was hit by ransomware. So in order to so basically what the Pit had to do, that hospital, is they had to pretty much go old school, get off the internet, exactly what you said, Tom. I was like, they get off it entirely, do everything, all their notes, everything by hand, so that that so they can make sure they're protected while they get the other hospital is gets basically pays the ransom, is what they ended up having to do. And also, it's like everyone talks about, I mean, like hospitals valid and utilities, obviously, but a lot of times the ransomware, like there was a recent report out that manufacturing is like going to be one of the big targets, as well as what people also think that when you were talking about people running their business and they don't have time, they also think that nobody's going to target them, like schools.
Yeah,
like there's some school somewhere in Louisiana or some school somewhere in Idaho or whatever, and they think nobody's going to be paying any attention.
Yeah, I'm not important enough. I don't have enough interesting data.
That's one of the things we've talked about before, is that people think, yeah, who's going to hack me? Like, okay, what, they're going to get my vacation pictures? Like, oh, big deal. And it's like, no, well, you need to realize that just the fact that you have an asset, right, a machine that can compute and hold data and stuff and has network capabilities, they can use that machine as like a resource to force multiply whatever they're going to do, using it as part of a botnet or a place to launch from your machine to somewhere else and make it look like the internet traffic came from you instead. Or there's lots of bad things that it can do just by, oh, a stranger walked in my house, but they don't seem to be doing like, kicking the cat or anything right now, so they might be, not a big deal. But it's like, no, you still have a stranger in your house.
Right.
Well, that OpenAI thing, where OpenAI is hacking Hugging Face, there was 6,000 plus different devices. I mean, no, because they're virtual. What would you call it? 6,000
proxies.
Different, proxies that were used, and that's that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it doesn't come from one place, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm being hacked, I can just turn off that, but actually they can come from many different. And it's the regular people in the regular homes and the regular businesses and the regular schools that become these proxies and are used by the criminals, the adversaries that go and try to do these attacks. With the case of the hospital, going back, there's no reason you couldn't have a hospital, just hypothetically, with all of its IT inside, but disconnected from the internet. So it's still got the IT automation stuff, but you don't use these cloud services. You don't, because that is such a liability to have your organization reaching out, and you've got, you're crossing this boundary, and anybody can intervene in that. And so just keep it all self-contained. Why do we have to all be on the same network all the time for everything, right? There's uses, right? Obviously, like this, but you don't need everything on the internet, your toaster, your microwave, your MRI machine, it doesn't need to be together.
Well, just connecting from the internet won't save you. Look at the water plants getting hacked through cellular modems. That is not
that's a different
link.
That's a different thing, different animal, so to speak. So OT is a very special case. A lot of times people will take OT and they'll kind of put it in the same bucket with IT, and it's really a different thing. So the OT stuff, instead of thinking of that as information technology, it's better to think of it as part of the the processes, the mechanical processes, the engineering processes, the manufacturing processes of, just like a motor or a gear or a storage tank or something like that. And yeah, there's electronics in it, and yeah, you can communicate with it, but that stuff especially should be very, very, very tightly controlled and not. But the challenge there is that the hardware manufacturers that make the devices and the contractors that deploy these OT devices and these networks, they don't have big margins. They've got very thin margins, and so they even have less of an incentive to provide good security, to make it secure. And another challenge, I'll just call it a challenge, is so my background, I had a lot of electrical engineering, right? Electronics engineering. I was in that cohort. And at one point I had to make a decision as to whether I was going to do electronics or whether I was going to do computer science. And I went the computer science route. What I noticed were in the electrical engineering space, especially coming out of college, people that would come out of college, they're very, very trusting and cooperative. And that's great until you build something and put it out there and expose it to adversaries who, want to exploit it, want to take advantage of it. And the things that they made were they always had these, they weren't natural weaknesses, but they were weaknesses to adversaries. Right. And it was like a different mindset. It was a very trusting mindset, very cooperative mindset. The idea that somebody would try to do something bad was kind of a foreign concept. And they're like, well, why would somebody do that? So, but that's that in the OT space, that's the environment, right? You've got the thin margins. You've got people that do hardware are generally what I'll call the very genuine, honest engineers who are trying to do the best to optimize something, to make something that works for purpose. And it's only when you introduce adversaries that it becomes problematic.
I mean, that's why I didn't make it as an engineer, because I was too much of a jerk. So, 100% to your point, though. It's like in the collegiate atmosphere, nobody's thinking about like somebody being evil and trying to do something to destroy it. So 100%.
They're trusting that if someone can get access to it, they're only going to be using it for doing what it's supposed to be used for. Mm-hmm. And that trust, again, is the problem. Well, here's something interesting with OT, because it is often conflated with IT. With IT, when you're talking about all of these individual general use computers and servers, usually you can put some sort of an agent on them, some sort of a cybersecurity, watch for changes, watch for data going where it shouldn't, that kind of thing. You can't do that with OT. There's no space for it. So what can you do for OT?
Yeah, because it's purpose built. It's special. It's not a general computing platform. It's made just for that thing. I'd put Ridgeback on it.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
That's Ridgeback is designed to watch the whole network, not just endpoints that can have an agent put on it, but to watch the whole network and see who's talking to who, and see who's attempting to talk to things that don't exist. And it's buy Ridgeback to improve your foresight from LinkedIn.
Was that a
yes, buy Ridgeback.
Gosh.
This whole thing is just a big advertisement for Ridgeback.
Oh yeah. I'm very opposed to the laissez-faire computing in professional computing environments. I mean, it's great in a university, in a lab, anything goes, try different things. But when you're in a business, OT, there's anything critical, lock everything down. Don't allow anything I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that protocol is doing, and I don't know who's connected or not connected. Don't tolerate any of that stuff.
It's amazing. With Ridgeback, we have helped put it on a ton of networks, and almost every place has stuff they didn't know was there. Like an endpoint that they say, wait a minute, I don't, and this happens even on small networks like.
And they think they know. That's a funny thing is everyone thinks that they know what's going on in their own stuff.
Until they actually see it for real.
Until you see it, and you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Isn't that SANS 1 or SANS 2 or one of the, like, out of the 20 back in the day? Like, make sure you know what's on your network. It's like that's like table stakes. Yeah, and that was another thing. Also, is vendors. People they need to pay attention to their vendors, and that's why like TPRM is so important. It's because you don't know if they're degrading their stuff, they're taking their eye off the ball. That leaves you vulnerable as well, and that's. And that type of communication.
That's the shifting liability, right? So I think a big strategy that people use, that organizations use, is they shift the liability, or they think they're shifting the liability to somebody else, to Cisco, for example. So I use Cisco firewalls. This is hypothetically. I've bought Cisco firewalls because they're secure and they're the best, and they're not going to let something go wrong. I don't necessarily know what I'm doing, but they know what they're doing. And so I'll bring that in. And then next thing you know, there's a 0-day on the Cisco firewall. It's like and then there's companies that just hire lawyers. They fire all the IT staff, they staff up the lawyers, and whenever anything goes wrong, here comes the team of lawyers.
I don't get that logic. I understand. I know. I totally agree with you. I don't understand why that. It's sort of like a lot of times not to, like, salespeople actually. That's how they get in the door. You don't have to worry about it. If this keeps you up at night, we got you. You don't have to worry about it. So we'll keep, and I defy anyone to give me 100% guarantee that will never, ever. I mean, if they do, then they're selling you something. And it's like that.
Yeah.
You're doing the best you can. You have to.
Well, transfer is one of the popular strategies to deal with risk, right? You can avoid risk or mitigate it, accept it, which is like do nothing, or transfer, right? So, I mean, whole industry is built around that, right?
Yeah. There's an MDR place. I'm not going to name them, but there was a company, and they downloaded some a Trojan, basically, under the guise of a useful application. And it sat on their networks doing bad things for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, the MDR company called them and said, hey, you've got malware running on your network, and it's been there for 2 weeks. And they said, well, why didn't you tell me 2 weeks ago? And the problem is that they didn't know that it was malware until somebody reported it as malware somewhere. Right, because that's usually how it works. Is you might suspect or whatever, but unless somebody sits down and analyzes it, you don't know for sure. And there's a lot of legitimate stuff that's just kind of broken, janky, whatever, that looks bad, but it's not really bad. But it looks bad, and so that would be your false positives. But so there's this delay, and a lot of people don't realize that if they hire someone to come in and watch their systems for them, they're just looking for feeds for indicators of badness, and it may or may not be timely. It's, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
how many red flags until you say, okay, you're done, you're out of here? 3
strikes.
Well, at Cloudflare, it was 4 days worth of red flags, or not Cloudflare. I'm sorry, I don't mean Cloudflare. At Hugging Face, Face, it was 4 days of red flags? 3 days?
3 or 4. Yeah.
And Target was like that too. When Target got hacked way back, and all their point of sale systems were, they had red flags going off all over the place, and they were like, oh, I don't know. It's just, mute it, and I don't know what to do about it. And it was somebody coming in through the HVAC system.
Well, turn the dial, and so you're real strict, and then you're blocking things that you don't want to block. So then you turn the dial back the other way, and now you're allowing too much stuff. You're being too, so it's much better, I think, if you just can try to make some black and white rules.
Yes.
And then say, well, it broke the rule, done.
Yeah.
Policy, maybe you'd call it.
Broken trust.
Yeah.
And but I agree. And they do that, and they also, and sometimes if the way Tom described it, if I got something like, oh, these look really scary, that looks like a fish to me. I would probably like freak out. I was like, okay. I mean, that's the thing. People don't know. It's exactly to your point, that false positive, like you don't know what to trust even. And they've gotten, it isn't the Nigerian prince anymore. It isn't any of that stuff. It's the, I miss that guy.
Even when we think about like something bad happening, we're thinking about like a message from one place to another, right? But a lot of places ignore the failures, right? A communication attempt from one place to another, into the dark space, an IP address where there's nothing there, even though like an attempt at something is still something bad happening, right?
Yeah. Well, that doesn't get logged. I mean, that stuff normally doesn't get logged by normal systems because it didn't reach the threshold. This is another frustrating, exasperating story. So there was this place, and it was like a big multinational corp, and you'd think these guys have got it really blocked down. And it was a security team, and they were talking about reconnaissance, basically reconnaissance on a network. And their position was that if somebody didn't actually break into a machine and successfully run an exploit and then do something on that machine, then it wasn't a security concern and they didn't have to worry about it because there's no victim. Wow. So it doesn't matter if somebody's running roughshod all over the network, as long as they didn't actually break anything, as long as they did, then it's okay because there's no victim.
It sounds like it sounds like how they deal with restraining order. Like it's like that person didn't actually do anything to you, so don't worry about it until they actually successfully harm you in some way. Then we're not gonna.
Well,
what do you guys see as the big? What do you guys? Who's this new girl? No, it's like, what do you guys see as the big with everything? All of these things have that trust underpinning, but in terms of like, especially with what Ridgeback does, what do you see as something that you would be able to help, like, mitigate?
Well, the one we just talked about, definitely. Mm-hmm. If someone is poking at the dark space in your network, if they're trying to see if there's anything there, it's usually a misconfiguration, but it's also a sign of enumeration. It's a sign the bad guy can be looking for what's on your network. And if they're poking at dark space, that's usually not getting noticed or logged. Ridgeback makes it very noticed, and of course it logs it. But the thing is, at the same time as they poke at it, they're outing themselves. They are making noise, and they are outing that something is poking at that dark space. Now, that's a small part of what Ridgeback does, but that's a big part that people don't think about. If you can, black and white, like Sam said, have a rule that says, if you are on my network, you only go where you're supposed to go. Otherwise, it can be as minimal as getting logged, send an email. It can be as maximal as kicking them off the network. And so that's the kind of thing that Ridgeback can do to help.
Yeah, it's also exposing the truth of what's really going on in your network.
Yeah,
and so the everything, and everybody sees something they weren't expecting, because they have their machines and their dashboards and their configuration files, and they get it set up, and things are working, and nobody's yelling that they can't print, or their laptop won't connect to the Wi-Fi, and you think, oh, everything must be cool because we made a plan and we set it up and things are working, right? Well, it turns out that with networks, things change all the time, right? So we expose to you what's really going on, and we show you things that other tools can't show you. And then from that information, that knowledge, it empowers you to clean it up so that if something bad happens, you'll be able to see it. And then we have the tools to actually enforce the good policies.
Yeah. Broadly speaking, it's so for ever, it seems, the the approach to security has been detect and respond. This is after security split off of normal IT. So IT and security used to be thoroughly commingled. Now it's kind of its own thing, and detect and respond. And that was with Snort. Snort really, so virus scanning before that, and then Snort after that, which looked for signatures on the wire, became, and detection works really well in the natural sciences, but it breaks down under adversaries. And the problem it breaks down today is because of this economic imbalance. There's this asymmetry in the cost of attack versus the cost of defense. And that is because we have these laissez-faire networks, these laissez-faire systems where anything goes. So, and nobody has written down, this is the way it's supposed to be. These are the only things you can do in this. They think it's general purpose computer. I can do anything. And, and then my brain goes offline. So, you know, what I preach is that you've got to look at this as an economic argument, and you've got to say, what do people need to do? What do defenders need to do? What investment do they need to make it more expensive to attack and less expensive to defend? And people will, for example, let's look at just firewalls, for example, because that's a simple edge case. People will say, well, I don't want to spend time setting up a firewall because then I have all these firewall rules that I need to maintain, and that's extra work, and I'm very busy, and it's just not worth my time. But if you leave all those firewall rules open, you know, anything can come in and anything can go out, then the adversaries have a tremendous advantage, and it's so much easier for them to do whatever it is that they want to do. So people generally accept that it's okay to invest that time on a firewall and say, I need to set up my rules, my policies of what can go through and what can't. But then when you talk about things like what software can be run, what computers can be connected to each other, who can talk to each other, what protocols can be used on the wire, all that other stuff, they just kind of say, well, I don't know that stuff, so I'm not going to worry about it, and just let anything go. And there was, here's another example, right? So there was someone, security person doing stuff, and they saw something very unusual, reconnaissance type activity on the network, and they didn't know what it was. And it turned out it was a guy like in the next office or something, just doing stuff. Like, but there was no coordination there. They didn't know in advance this guy was going to. So if I'm looking at, so I've done a lot of stuff for the government where things are locked down a whole lot better, and you've got change control. So somebody's going to make a change, or maybe they're going to run a vulnerability scanner. They're going to do something that's going to perturb another part of the environment, another part of the infrastructure. You put in a change request for that and alert people and say, at such and such time, or between this window of time, this is what we're going to be doing. And these are the systems that may be impacted, and so on and so forth, right? To me, that's a normal thing to do. But for a lot of the people that we talk to, they're like, you're crazy. I'm never going to do that. That's too hard. That's too much work. We'll never, you know, I'm like, well, if you're running your shop, it's everyone's personal choice. If they want to run a laissez-faire shop where anything goes, that's fine. But then to what Sam said, you're accepting the risk, right? That's what happens when you do that. You're saying, I don't have time, knowledge, skill, resources, whatever to do it. So I'm just going to hope for the best.
I'm going to run my infrastructure like Vegas.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll win. Absolutely.
But the odds are not in your favor.
No.
They are not.
Speaking of odds in favor, last week, Sam showed us a cool CTF, capture the flag, and we're almost out of time, but I want a hint.
Is it hint day?
Hint week. I want a hint before we close.
Okay.
So every now and then we make these puzzles, we put them on our website, and the little CTF challenges is what we call them. So this one was introduced last week. So now it is the midpoint, and you get a clue, a hint. So it says, what is the name of this color? And we have some ancient technology and some letters and some coins.
So wait, the coins are also ancient technology, I think.
Yeah, Well, I had a thought on that, but I wanted to ask. I was thinking like CDF, like it's some hex number, is what I was thinking then, or a hex representation of a color is what I was
You're
thinking.
on the right track.
Yay!
Nailed it. Yes.
I didn't print screen it last week, so I just did it now. So I was like, okay, now I'll look. It's like how many coins?
Oh. Well, you can
Should be
also
on our
find
website.
Is it on the
On our
website?
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
Should
Did I
be.
look at the
Oh, there you
website?
go.
Depends
I
on
think
if
I
our webmaster put it on there or not.
Yeah.
Ridgebacknet.com/ yes, I did. It's up there.
Oh, you just accepted the title. Yeah. Okay, now we know.
All right.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, there is even more to talk about, but we're out of time.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you coming, Nina. And
Yes, it was great to talk to you.
catch us every week,
Very
3
happy to
p.m.
have you.
Eastern.
Thank you. I had fun. I basically told Jesse I have so many questions to ask these guys in the past couple that I've been watching. Like, that's why I've been. It's like can I just burst in and bother them directly, and they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So fantastic. No, I appreciate you guys' expertise on things, and I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
And we usually
Good to
end by
have you
saying,
here. Thank you.
I'm Sam.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Steve.
I'm Tom, I think. Yeah. And you are
Nina.
Yay.
And this is the outro.
Next week we should be totally scripted. Blow everyone's minds. No
what?
awkward pauses. No.
Oh, that's no fun.
But I can't
Totally
read.
scripted.